Peace, family. How we doing? We back with episode 2 of the Beyond the Illusion podcast. We talk about all things metaphysical. We talk about all things spiritual, emotional, whatever, right? I'm your host, Anth Alchemist, and today we're just going to run a quick little lecture on a funny little thing I like to talk about from time to time called pendulums. Pendulums are very, very important to understand in order to understand how reality works. Pendulums are an integral part of human invention, technology, politics, everything. Essentially everything that you can think of that humans have created, pendulums have been the results of that. Now, there are a lot of different definitions that people like to use for pendulums. You know, the little crystal girls like to use, you know, the little clear quartz with the chain, whatever, swinging them back and forth. That's not the definition I'm going to be using, because pendulums exist beyond that. Pendulums exist beyond the human illusion of our senses. We can't see, smell, taste, feel, or touch them, right? But they exist. They exist. They are an integral part of our lives. So my definition of pendulums is the invisible mechanism by which ideas materialize into reality. So this is the whole process of how an idea goes from nothing but a thought in your head, from a thought in your brain, to this physical reality. Because I want you to picture reality like this. Everything that you're seeing right now, the house you're living in, the job you're in right now, the place you're walking through, the city you're in, the plane you're on, the car you're driving. These were originally the thoughts of human brains before they materialized into reality. Essentially, you are living in the blueprint of someone else's imagination for life, right? And in the end, I'm going to be talking about how people can start living in the blueprint of your imagination. I want y'all to stay tuned for that, right? So, pendulums are the invisible mechanism by which ideas materialize into reality. I drew a little illustration to make it nice and simple, right? So these ones and zeros represent ideas. They represent, you know, the thoughts that you have throughout the day. The 60 to 70,000 thoughts you have in a single day, right? So all of these thoughts, you'll eventually pick one. You'll eventually pick one. You can't pick all of them, right? For every one thing that's invented, there are a million other things that could have been invented. There's a million other things that could have been in this place, but this is the one thing that ended up sticking because it had the strongest frequency, which we'll get into that later, because reality is a game of frequency. So anyways, you pick one, you centralize a lot of energy into it to the point in which it materializes into reality. Now, once this thing exists in the first place, once this thing materializes into reality, it wants nothing but to sustain its own life form and grow as a being. Because this thing is its own living organism. This thing desires the same thing that every other life form on Earth wants. It wants to grow, and it wants to maintain its survival, right? So it maintains its survival through something called adherence, right? So what is an adherent, right? An adherent is a being that centralizes its energy to maintain the pendulum survival. So I want you to think about it from a job, right? Say, for instance, Microsoft is a job, right? Every employee that works for Microsoft is an adherent to Microsoft because they are performing actions on a daily basis to maintain Microsoft's survival. Everybody that buys a Microsoft product, a Microsoft software, they are adherents to that Microsoft pendulum because they are centralizing their energy, aka their dollars, to receive a service from Microsoft in order to keep it alive, because that's how businesses survive. They survive through money, they survive through energy, right? So now that we have that out of the way, we know what a pendulum is. We know they come from ideas, the mechanism in which they materialize into reality. They basically funnel into reality. Once they funnel into reality, they desire two things. They desire to grow and they desire to maintain their own survival. The same way how you and I do. We desire food every single day. We desire more money in our bank accounts. We desire more muscles. We desire more whatever, right? The pendulums work the exact same way. So let's get into how to materialize these things. How to start creating these things for ourselves, right? How do you go about creating a pendulum? Actually, let's go into the origin of a pendulum. We're going to go into where do pendulums even come from? Where do pendulums even come from? Well, as these things sound like alien technology, right? Even though you can't even see it, bro. This shit, like, Because honestly, everything you can think of, anything that was invented by a human is essentially a pendulum. So, let's go into where do pendulums come from. They come from problems. Problems require a solution. The solution is where the pendulum comes in. The pendulum acts as the solution to a problem, right? So say for instance, you need a way to mass communicate with the world. You need a way to access every single human in the world, right? The solution to that problem would be Microsoft, would be Apple, would be cell phones, would be all of those things. And these things, that's the macro pendulum. And that's one more thing I need to talk about, right? So we have a problem, we have a solution. The solution is where the pendulum comes in. The pendulum acts as a solution to your problems, right? And there's two ways pendulums go about doing this. Or there's two types of pendulums, I should say, right? Even though I kind of like gotten into it quite a bit, right? Racist shit, bro. Sorry, I'm not like neural knowledge, bro. I'm not as clean, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I don't got that clean whiteboard skills, bro. I don't know if I'm impatient or what, but it's your boy getting a little excited, you know what I'm saying, right? So you got two forms of pendulums. You have the micro, and then you have the macro. So we have micro, macro pendulums, right? Micro pendulums solve the very minute problems of the macro pendulums. So say for instance, a micro pendulum could be something as simple as the screws that keep the screen on your phone together, right? That in and of itself is an entire entity on its own. That is an entire business based off of China or Taiwan. They require real employees. They require real distribution, real manufacturing. These people got to be fed. Those tiny little screws, those 2mm screws that hold the screen of your phone together are an entire industry created by a bunch of minds organized together to create those little phones of those little screws. And the macro example would be something like the phone itself, would be something like the software on this phone, would be something like the iOS, would be something that incorporates all of these micro pendulums all together in order to create this entity. Because that's really what it is. It's its own physical entity. Well, not physical, but it's its own entity that desires survival the same way we do. Now, I'm going to draw a little illustration for all y'all visual learners out there in order for y'all to grasp this example to its full extent, right? So let's say we have something as, let's use the iPhone for an example, because I just got a new phone, right? So we're going to put an iPhone. The iPhone solves the problem of mass communication with the rest of the world. It solves many problems, as a matter of fact. It solves that. It solves the ability to search up things. It solves the, there's a whole lot of problems that it could solve. It's not coming to my brain right now. I don't know why. So that is its own entity, right? Boom, right? So that is the macro pendulum. This one is the macro one, right? Then it has a whole bunch of micro ones. So we're going to draw a whole bunch of micro things in and of itself. And honestly, this is just to grasp the example. This is in no way comprehensive. I don't know the process of making iPhone. This is nothing but a pure speculation, right? So we have the screen. We have the case. We have the software. We have the screws. Battery. We have shipping. We have, damn, y'all need to give me a few examples, bro. Charger. Motherboard. Board. And then CPU. These are the examples we're going to go with today. Obviously, there's thousands of other things that go into making an iPhone. But with my little puny brain, these are the ones that I were able to come with on the fly, basically. So these are all the micro pendulums that go about making this iPhone, right? Now, in order for these things to even materialize into reality itself, they require, so the same way how this requires thousands of inputs to create an iPhone, these little mechanisms in and of itself requires thousands of people to centralize their energy into creating such a thing. So we're gonna draw a whole bunch of humans, and yeah, this is gonna take a while, so I'm just gonna make some small talk with y'all real quick. But anyways, how y'all doing, bro? How y'all doing, bro? I hope y'all been doing good. Hope y'all been learning good. Hope y'all been in the right frequency. If you watching me, obviously in the right frequency to some extent. And yeah, man, I hope y'all been taking the right action. I mean, even though the right action really doesn't matter, 'cause if you really think about it, the right actions only come from the right frequency. So so a lot of people have this problem of deciding. They have problems making decisions. They don't know if they should go this way, this path, the other path. They don't know if they want to be a doctor, surgeon, whatever. They don't know if they want to. A lot of people just don't know which path to take in life. A lot of people are lost, right? What people got to understand is that actions from the right frequency will always win. Meaning that if you are taking action from the right frequency, no matter what option you choose, it's the right one. So let's say you're in that issue, right, where you're suffering with that problem, where you want to be a doctor, or you're not sure if you want to be a doctor, a general doctor, a surgeon, or a cardiologist, or whatever, right? And you're scared that this is gonna affect your chances of living a good life. What you have to understand is that these things don't matter. The decision itself really doesn't matter. The only thing that really matters is the frequency in which the decision is coming from. Meaning, if the decision is coming from you living your best life, it's coming from you living in the right reality, no matter what, it's the right decision, whether you're a doctor or a surgeon. And the inverse is true. If you're making this decision out of fear, if you're like, I just want to avoid pain, whatever, right? You'll always materialize the wrong reality, even if you're taking the proper action. That's why a lot of people, they'll go through weight losses or go through little fad diets, and they'll always gain the weight back. You know, they have this show called, what's that show called? Biggest Loser, right? I believe in the neighborhood of like 80% of the people that enter that show end up gaining the weight back. Because even though they was taking quote unquote the right action, even though they had personal trainers, they had doctors, they had psychologists on board, they still could not lose the weight forever. They lost the weight periodically. They lost the weight for, a few weeks or some shit like that, right? But at the end of the day, they didn't change what was most important. They didn't change the frequency. They didn't change the frequency in which the decisions were coming from to begin with. So as soon as they got home, as soon as they got control over their diets again, they ended up reverting back to the frequency that got them to eating the way they were before. And then they eventually gained the weight back. It's as simple as that. It's very simple. As long as you're taking action from the right frequency, the decision itself doesn't matter. The choice itself doesn't matter. As long as you know that whatever decision you make is the right one, it is what it is. And you will honestly live a very good life that way. This will honestly free you, relieve a whole bunch of stress, relieve a whole lot of anxiety. It'll just help you. You know what I'm saying? Like I said before, live the best life. I know I'll be repeating myself a lot, but I just want to beat it into y'all brains. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of y'all are stubborn. A lot of y'all hear things one time and then not understand it, or just let it fly over their head. But here I am telling you again. If you're taking action from the wrong frequency, even if it is the right action, even if you're taking the right steps to lose the weight, it will always materialize the wrong reality. You will always regain the weight. You will always be unsatisfied with your body image and so forth. So learn to maintain that proper bodily image. Learn to take action from the right frequency. Instead of taking action from the standpoint of losing weight, take action from the standpoint of being a healthy individual. Because that's ultimately what you really want. A healthy individual is a skinny individual. A healthy individual doesn't have aren't 30 pounds overweight, don't got high cholesterol, don't got high blood pressure, don't got all these problems, don't got joint problems. A healthy individual doesn't have those. A healthy individual is nice, skinny, fit, maybe got some abs, maybe got some triceps or whatever, or if you a lady, you know what I'm saying, you got that proper figure, right? But anyways, that was just some little small talk for you. I could keep this going if you want. I mean, honestly, I know it's pretty... this drawing is honestly pretty fire, yo. Like, I know I've done some whiteboard drawings back in my day, but this might honestly take the cake. I ain't gonna lie, yo. We almost done with this motherfucker too, yo, man. But yeah, let me know what y'all think, man. Let me know if y'all want more of this. If you want me to be funny, I'm a comedian at the same time. You know what I'm saying? I could do whatever, bro. So, boom. So all these little circles right here represent humans, right? These all represent humans because all technology comes from humans, right? Even that AI shit that y'all talking about is inhuman. Where does it come from? It comes from humans. So boom. All of these are humans. These little squigglies represent energy. You're centralizing energy, whether it be money, whether it be resources, whether it be time, whether it be emotional pain. And these things materialize the CPU, the screen, the case, the software, the screws, the battery, the motherboard, everything. And then all of these micro pendulums all come together to materialize a damn iPhone. And this honestly can go with infinite wave. This can go so much deeper into everything. Because we can go so deep as far as like, all right, these humans need food. And this is honestly goes through an infinite wave, right? But this is the very basics of how pendulums work. Of how humans come together, centralize energy into a pendulum. The idea materializes into reality. They require certain things. They require these amount of humans to produce these amount of materials to create this battery, to create this minefield. They need to go to mine some cobalt or whatever it is, right, to create a damn iPhone. I put info instead of iPhone. So that is the very basics of how pendulums work. This is the visual illustration for all y'all visual understanders out there, right? Now let's go into how to create pendulums for yourself. Let's go into, all right, I know how these businesses work to create these damn machines, these damn technologies. How could I use this in my own personal life, right? I'm very glad you asked that very important question because I'm about to show you really quick because it really doesn't have to be this complex. And keep in mind, that was a very simple version of the complex. I really hope y'all understand that. It goes way deeper than that. But it doesn't have to be that complex. It could be very, very simple, and I'm about to make it very simple for you in a little bit. So, hold down, relax, zip up your pants, you know what I'm saying? So, how can we go about creating pendulums for yourself? First step, identify a problem. Identify a problem. In this case, we're going to use money because, who wouldn't want more money, right? But honestly, you could extrapolate. You could pick any problem you want. The same thing will still go forward, right? The only thing that differs is the individual example, whatever, right? But honestly, you're a smart guy. You can figure it out. So identify a problem. Identify the solution. Boom. This is the first part of the pendulum. This is where you're going to be centralizing most of your energy to come from, right? So say the problem is you're broke. Identify the solution. And honestly, there's a few ways to go about more money. In this case, I'm going to say more clients, right? Because If most of us, we might want to make our own businesses or whatever. Honestly, working a job helps as well. No, I work a job, you know what I'm saying? Nothing wrong with that, but for this instance, we're going to be making more clients. So let's just say the solution is more clients. Then from there, we want to have more clients at the focal point of our energy. Now, there's two ways of going about it. You can either be a solopreneur, where you take yourself right here and you centralize a whole lot of energy into making that happen, where you create more clients. And keep in mind, more energy doesn't mean more physical action. I want to beat this into y'all brains. More energy does not equal more physical action. More energy does not mean more physical action. What this means is a more multi-dimensional approach of creating more clients. So not only is creating more clients mean booking more calls, doing more marketing. Not only does it mean, improving your sales skills. And not only does it improve closing rates, right? Not only does it improve, retention rate of said clients. This also includes, the mindset that comes with it. Meaning, what does having more clients do for your mind? What does this do for your mental state? What does this do for your emotional state? The more you activate these mental and emotional states, the more powerful your physical action becomes. Because if you just take the physical action, like I said before, physical action from the wrong reality will always create the wrong reality. Versus the right frequency, which also includes the other two. It includes the emotional state that comes from having more clients and the mental state that comes from having more clients. Meaning your confidence boosts, your conviction improves, your a whole lot of other things improve by having more clients, right? So it also takes a multi-dimensional approach. So we could honestly split these into three. So this could be emotional, this could be physical, this could be mental. All of these centralized together will eventually get you more clients, whether it be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. The point is as long as you're in the right frequency, you're always going to produce the right reality no matter what. Now, this is one option of going about it. This is a solopreneur aspect. Or you could do something like having more people involved, because more humans is better than one. 2 legs is better than one. 2 ears are better than one. 2 eyes are better than one. And then you guys incorporate some energy into this idea. So whether these people include employees, whether they include consultants, coaching, whether they include marketing assistants, whether they improve whatever, right? You'll all centralize your energy to create more clients. And this will eventually become an entity of its own, to the point where this thing could exist even without your present knowledge of it, even without your awareness of it. But yeah, that was a very basic example of what pendulums are, how to use them in practical reality, how these pendulums construct the reality you're living in, and honestly, how to use this technology to your benefit. But that being said, that'll be the end of the episode 2. If you guys have any feedback for me, please let me know. I'm constantly working to get better. If you guys enjoyed it, if y'all want to see anything else, if you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments. But with that being said, Anthony Alchemist, peace and out.